suddenly having all this trouble with my phone. It just went out, so I got to remember to delete that little bit if I can get this on. I did two other videos this morning. I'm going to try to connect it. This is I'm just going to go with this. This is where the National Park of Forestry was involved with what happened to me. I came up to Roanoke October of '83, and I'd been in a political campaign and written a book about mind control, and been flown out to Larry Flint's, and Larry Flint had been shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and the person's programmed to shoot him. And they don't tell this in the movie of Larry Flint either, if you notice, about what really happened or about me, and yet part of it was Larry Flint. Let me show that real quick. It's an endorsement where I was in his home, and March 6th when he shot Larry McDonald, etc., etc. And this was April of '84. But anyway, I was flown up there, and they in the movie, while I was there twice in October during the campaign in '83, and Mr. Flint told me in essence, he said something about. Oh, he showed me the Jerry Falwell. I had no idea that I'd end up living next to Lynchburg, where Liberty University and Jerry Falwell was minister. He's deceased now. But Liberty University is owned by his sons, or run by his sons. Anyway, Larry Flint showed me when I was out there a parody. And he said, remember, that these have to be ready for publishing, have to be done in 3 months ahead of time. So that means that he knew he was going to endorse me for the presidency in this magazine that came out in April of '84. And I ended up here living next to Jerry Falwell, and Flint, the parody, is in federal court here in Roanoke, the Poth building there, and I'm living on the Appalachian Trail, starving and freezing, and nobody, Larry Flint stand here, not a word about me. On my birthday, or the date that I have to use as birth date, January the 7th, is when one of the first showings happened of the Flint, Falwell versus Flint, or United States versus Larry Flint. Well, Larry Flint at least tried to do something. Most people have just tried to, he got locked up for it in Butner, how's that, and called crazy, and his power of attorney taken from him. But I wanted to get back to this. That was my point. I ended up here, and I was shown the parody while I was out there in '83, so my tracks were laid down, and there's nothing I can do about it. You got to stop the whole mess. But anyway, I lived in the Appalachian Trail, which I've said, and I was all up and down there. I froze in degrees. If anybody that's been through here, they know how cold it gets up there, especially when you don't have the right equipment. And then people can say, well, you can go. No, I couldn't. I was allocated up here, and this is where I've had to live. I've tried to leave. Everybody should turn around and say, hey, we could have put it up on billboards. All this has been against the law. We could have marched. We could have done anything in the book, but they chose not to. Now, here's where I'm going to go back to when Larry Flint furnished me a car, and I couldn't get jobs anymore and couldn't get back to Larry Flint after '83. So I'm running around with a car leased by Hustler Magazine, Larry Flint. I can't get gas money. I can't get jobs. And I'm leaving a bunch of that out because you can't put it in. So I'm in Grottoes, Virginia then in July of '84 till April of '85. Okay, I got the car there, and it's sitting parked while I'm behind Ronica's Convenience and Exxon store. To make a living, I don't even have money for gas to put in it. So to make a living, I'm pumping gas there and working in the cashiering and putting grocery cans up and cleaning and cooking some for rent and food. And so anyway, I never thought I was going to be there until I turned the car in, and then I was on foot from then on. But I lived in this is what I was trying to get back to, just a page out of it. If you did a background check on me, I can't even use my real name, which is Margaret Ann Windsor. I have to use Peggy Ann Childers, Dempsey Childers. Now then, I knew every spot on the Appalachian Trail. I did it all. I carried water on my back. I had no food. I had food given to me that the guy had spit in. You name it, it was done to me. It's odd how people, when you're in the situation I'm in, I want to jump back to grottos. That was the point. There was an FBI agent retired, supposedly, named Noe, and I do remember him being with my husband way back at Brown Engineering in Huntsville, the Space Center, back in about 1982. Now, he's up here and I'm up here in Grottoes, and he's supposedly retired, and he told me, he said, they've made it, and he meant FBI, they've made it so ludicrous that people, when you tell it, people know you're telling the truth. It gives them a chance to help you or walk away. Well, they walked or tried to hurt me. Now I'll go back to an FBI agent down 82 in Atlanta again, after so much had been done to me then. And he pretended to be yawning and bored, and he says, this is what people are bored with what you tell them. It's only when they find out how it affects them that they care. Now then, I'm going to jump back to this, Eric Smith, and getting locked up 3 or 4 times, federal court, time in jail, picture taken, and my toes being pulled off, toenails pulled out by Dr. Mark Weissman. I couldn't afford, they were infected, and I'd walked with shoes that were not good at all. You know how many miles from Roanoke up to try to get to the Appalachian Trail up the Blue Ridge Parkway? About 28 miles I start out walking with no food or water, just to have a place to lie down away from all of it and not be on the side of the road. Anyway, Dr. Weissman, I was sent there because I didn't have any money, and he sent his nurse out, and he looked at me. The toes were really bad, my toenails. And he said, aren't you the woman that wrote the book about Dr. Larry McDonald, the congressman in Atlanta? And I said, yes. Before I knew it, he had jerked out my 2 toenails, big toenails, and they looked awful. I looked down in shock. I got out and walked out, and I have no place to walk to, and I hope I get this on here. I walked up to where it was behind the POF Federal Building, way up, nowhere on federal property or anything, with my toes like that, walking in the hot sun, and 2 rangers are standing there, and one of them I know has harassed me before, and he's writing me out a ticket like this one for living in the National Forest. I'm not living in the National Forest. I'm going up to Trust, which is something that you wouldn't want to live in, believe me. But I'm going there to have a roof over my head. And he's laughing, the 2 of them, writing out the ticket. He handed it to me like I'm supposed to appear in court. I'm not in the National Forest. It's a joke. This whole thing, my life has been nothing but a joke. And I've tried to tell about the murders here, and the media will not print any of it. I'm talking about the mind control murders. And now then, I'm going to mention these. The Murphy, Randy Taylor is locked up for that. And then there's Harrington, Morgan Harrington, and her dad was a psychiatrist here in Roanoke and Virginia Tech, where so many of these murders happen, mass and all. But Now then, supposedly it was a black man that did that. You're talking about the agency, really, and they know it, that's doing the programming. And it won't stop until they stop them. But they're not